The permission to do what he liked with the carriage pleased him above all, for the fair peasants had appeared in a most elegant carriage the preceding evening, and Albert was not sorry to be upon an equal footing with them. At 1:30 they descended. The coachman and footman had put their livery over their disguises, which gave them a more ridiculous appearance than ever, and which gained them the applause of Franz and Albert. Albert had fastened the faded bunch of violets to his buttonhole. At the first sound of the bell, they hastened into the Corso by the Via Vittoria. At the second turn, a bunch of fresh violets, thrown from a carriage filled with harlequins, indicated to Albert that, like himself and his friend, the peasants had changed their costume also, and whether it was the result of chance, or whether a similar feeling had possessed them both, while he had donned their costume, they had assumed his. Albert placed the fresh bouquet in his buttonhole, but he kept the faded one in his hand, and when he again met the calash, he raised it to his lips, in an action which seemed greatly to amuse not only the fair lady who had thrown it, but her joyous companions also. The day was as gay as the preceding one, perhaps even more animated and noisy. The Count appeared for an instant at his window, but when they again passed he had disappeared. It is almost needless to say that the flirtation between Albert and the fair peasant continued all day. In the evening, on his return, Franz found a letter from the embassy, informing him that he would have the honor of being received by His Holiness the next day. At each previous visit he had made to Rome, he had solicited and obtained the same favor, and incited as much by a religious feeling as by gratitude. He was unwilling to quit the capital of the Christian world without laying his respectful homage at the feet of one of St. Peter's successors, who has set the rare example of all the virtues. He did not then think of Carnival, for in spite of his condescension and touching kindness, one cannot incline oneself without awe before the venerable and noble man called Gregory the 16th. Okay, so it seems like Albert isn't completely misreading signals here. I would assume if I go to, let's say, a weekend of Halloween parties, and I see someone across the room who I have a immediate attraction to, and, you know, there's a fun little exchange of, say, our favorite bite-sized candy bars. And I take a safety pin and attach the Twix wrapper to my lapel, because I'm Frankenstein, obviously, in this costume scenario. And let's say they are the Bride of Frankenstein, and we have a little fun night. If that was Friday's party, and I go to Saturday's party, and I dress up as the Bride of Frankenstein, and I still have the old Twix wrapper to the tatters wrapping my body, and I go and I see the same person who I had a flirtation with the night before, but they are dressed like Frankenstein, and they give me a brand new Twix, I think it's safe to say there's something there. It's not just in Albert's imagination. Thank you for indulging me in my version of what Albert is going through here. More importantly, though, Franz, it seems well, okay. Let me just ask real quick. Franz, with all of his previous trips to Rome, do we think he's been to Carnival before? I seem to remember him giving some thoughts to Albert early on about what to expect at Carnival. And that could be the reason why he's so kind of ambivalent or blasé about the festivities. He's more interested in connecting with the Pope than it is the flirtations and dalliances that Albert seems interested in with Carnival and all these peasants, them being in costumes. So let's pivot real quick and talk about Albert saying that he has always reached out to Gregory the 16th and has not only sought but been admitted invitation to meet him. Who is this guy? Pope Gregory the 16th was head of the Catholic Church and ruler of the Papal States from 1831 until his death in 1846. So he was still alive, very much a real person at the time of this writing, of this book. Let's see if there's anything particularly of interest regarding him. Obviously, we know that Dumas loves to hook into real people. We have seen King Louis and Napoleon both. King Louis has already been a character in the story, as has the specter of Napoleon. So why Gregory the 16th? I mean, it's easy just to say because he's the Pope at this time, but I think Dumas and his history, and probably Mackay's contribution to this, isn't superfluous. Like, Franz could be going to meet a cardinal, he could be going to any number of religious leaders. Why the Pope? As the passage says, Pope Gregory XVI was one of St. Peter's successors who has set the rare example of all the virtues. That's an interesting contrast to everything he's seeing here. I was going to say at the Carnival, but the Pope, if he's the rare example of all the virtues, is the antithesis to Dante, isn't he? Let's take a look for some of the reputation things that Gregory the 16th was known for: personal piety, austerity and moral seriousness, resistance to modernity, and political upheaval. Seems like kind of an old world pope, doesn't he? Maybe he's seeking them out. I mean, I know that it says here that he seeks out the pope every time he's in Rome, but could it be because the execution he's just witnessed is weighing heavily on his soul? And just, I was about to end the episode, but I just realized something. This tells us something about Franz. Those juicy little tidbits about Franz that we struggle to get out of this story. This is saying something about him. If he's seeking out this pope every time he's going there, what does that say about him? Does he appreciate a kind of, well, it's not enough to really come to any conclusions, but, you know, does he appreciate a kind of moral center or moral way of living life? Up till now, he hasn't struck me as particularly religious, but maybe. Well, I wonder if Gregory 16 is going to be joining us here on the Countdown of Monte Cristo in a future episode. Let's keep reading to find out, shall we? Until tomorrow, okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.